Of all the animated superhero shows that have come out over the last 2 decades, there is one that rises above the rest as one of the best first seasons of any superhero show.
Ladies and gentlemen, I'm Thomas.
I'm Merlin.
Together we're the Comic Lads, and today we're talking all about Young Justice Season 1.
Yep, we did a retrospective on the Batman Season 1 a couple weeks ago, and in between our videos for the Batman Season 2, we thought why not revisit one of our most beloved shows. Young Justice Season 1 is something truly special.
It can only be described as peak.
It is absolutely peak. You know, like our previous retrospective, we're looking just at Season 1 today, but if the video does well, I think looking at each season individually is definitely a requirement because each season is so different.
Yeah, not just in terms of like what happens, but also in like the quality as well.
Yeah, definitely. But Season 1, they came off freaking running. It was a great start to the series. But question of the week, guys, of course, we want to hear from you. What do you think of Young Justice Season 1 or your thoughts on the series as a whole? We love to read every single one of your comments, so let us know down below.
And before we get into it, make sure to drop a like. It really helps us out. You know, if we're the Young Justice team, the YouTube algorithm is the light.
Yeah, Vandal Savage and his crew just constantly outwitting us. And don't forget to subscribe. Become one with the lads. All right, so let's get right into it. There's one thing that I think we should start off with that I think really characterizes the show as one of the absolute greats. And it's something that a lot of people might skip over, but it's the animation itself.
Because by and large, until recently with things like X-Men 97 and Invincible, the idea of animation itself in superhero cartoons isn't always something to write home about. It's never like anything like anime or anything like that. But Young Justice, they came out swinging, bro. This animation was unlike anything we'd ever seen in Western superhero cartoons.
Yeah, it was so high quality, like
so fluid.
And, you know, for all intents and purposes, this is a kid's show.
Yes.
Premiered on, you know, Cartoon Network, Teletoon. But it felt like something that had a really high budget. Like each episode was so curated, and you could just tell that the creators and the animators were putting their all to making things as seamless and as fluid as possible.
Absolutely. Like the fight choreography is some of the best I've ever seen in any superhero cartoon. And the way each character moves is so unique from the other. You know, with each of their different fighting styles, Robin flips around the battlefield,
throws some batarangs.
You know, he's so quick and kind of moves around like a wraith, like you'd want Batman to. Aqualad is like more brutal and brawling with like his water bearers.
Yeah.
So sick.
And you say brutal, and I think that's a great point too. Like, just back to the fact that it's a kid's show. They literally and metaphorically don't pull their punches.
They beat the shit out of everyone.
Yeah. Like, you can feel every punch. Like, every punch has weight. When someone's beaten, it's not just like 1-2 punch or something like we would get in the 90s cartoons for Spider-Man or Batman.
No, it's like an Arkham beatdown.
Yes, and like you can see someone's energy slowly diminishing throughout a fight to the point that they're beaten. You know what I mean?
You know what I just remembered? Like in the early Bane episode where they finally beat him and Miss Martian's like holding him in the air with her telekinesis, and Superboy goes,
"Finally, drop him."
Bane just fucking died.
Yeah, Bane is broken.
His head exploded.
Yeah, you broke Bane.
Yeah.
But yeah, every fight is just such a joy to look at. You mentioned Aqualad, but like, dude, the way his constructs move throughout a fight, oh my god. I need him as a character in Injustice 3 with water constructs.
Oh, yeah. We need some Aqualad love, bro.
I know.
Like, I need to see him in the DCU in all his glory.
And speaking also of Aqualad, maybe we should talk about the characters.
100%. And I think we should probably start with the best of all of them, Robin.
Robin, yeah. What's so great is that each character is so distinctive, and Robin especially has one of the best arcs in the show, I think.
He does. It might be like one of my favorite versions of Dick Grayson in like all forms of media. Things they do with his character, how he starts off as this like, I'm Batman's sidekick, I'm better than everyone else here, you know, and then he realizes that like maybe being the Batman like isn't everything.
Yeah, there's a great moment in the show where he's like,
I don't want to be the Batman anymore, because his devotion to the mission and his willingness to sacrifice everything for it is not something that Robin has.
The thing that drives him to sacrifice everything for the sake of his mission. That's not me. I don't want to be the Batman anymore.
Yeah, and I love that his time away from like the dynamic duo and being with, I don't want to say like the Teen Titans, but they are kind of like the Teen Titans.
They're the original Teen Titans.
I'm not gonna say the Young Justice.
Well, like in the show, they're just called the Team.
Yeah.
It's like, that's so lame.
Yeah, but with his time away with the team, you know what I mean? That's what makes him realize that he needs to forge his own destiny.
Yes.
And on top of that, I love that he's like, it's kind of more of like a Tim Drake-esque element, but I love that he's like a little hacker.
Yeah, he's like a little tech genius.
Yeah,
Absolutely.
so good.
And I love that they also acknowledge his heritage with the Flying Graysons as well.
Yeah, there's a great episode where they go undercover.
Yeah, and
the team goes undercover.
And they join Haley's circus, and he has this beautiful moment with Mr. Haley. Like, it's obviously not in the same universe, but it gave me this like cathartic feeling of like, in Batman the Animated Series, he leaves Haley's circus and you never see him go back. But in Young Justice, you see him go back, and he has this beautiful moment where Mr. Haley recognizes him even through his disguise as Dick Grayson, and it's...
Son, you've grown, but some things never change. Like the sight of a Grayson on the trapeze. You can't fake that. Can't hide it.
Yeah,
I'm gonna
he
start-
wishes
I'm-
him the best. He gives him a hug.
I'm gonna start crying. Let's
So
move
good.
on.
Yeah, and also something about Robin too. You know, if you've watched shows like Teen Titans or read the comic books, Dick Grayson is always considered like the front man or the leader of the group.
Yes.
And they do something very interesting with him in Young Justice, where you go into the show thinking as the viewer that he's going to be the leader, and even he himself thinking he's going to be the leader. You're like, oh, I'm destined to lead this team.
Well, and they all kind of choose him at first because he has, even though he's the youngest of them, he's 13, he has the most experience being a superhero. He has like 4 years of experience.
And I love that as the show progresses, well, especially very early on, he realizes that it's not his time yet.
Yeah, because like he's not explicit as a leader. And then they realize that Aqualad, who's older and is more explicit and concise, should be the leader of the team.
Then I accept the burden until you are ready to lift it from my shoulders. You were born to lead this team. Maybe not now, but soon.
Yeah, it's great too because, you know, we were talking about this before we started filming, but Aqualad is so not in the discussion of great superheroes. You know, maybe he's had a slight resurgence in the last few years, but giving him the spotlight in the show, I feel like it kind of had like a double take feeling where you're like, wait, what? You know what I mean? You like look back around, it's like, oh shit, Aqualad's leading this team right now?
Oh shit, Aqualad's hard as fuck? Like,
Yeah.
no way.
I know. And like in terms of character arc, him just being a leader is obviously really great, but like it's just awesome.
Yes, he's just like we were trying to figure out everyone's individual arc, you know, before we started recording today. And for Aqualad, we were just like, he's kind of just sick from the jump.
Yeah.
You know, like he has like an arc in the show where he has to decide between his life in Atlantis and his life on the surface world with the team. And he ultimately obviously makes the decision to stay with the team. But he's the one on the team that feels the most like a fully realized superhero and not someone training to be a superhero.
Definitely. He feels like he could already stand on his own 2 feet, but he grows even more as he becomes the leader of the team.
Stop saying.
I just want to see the Titan. I know, I mean, it just feels right. There's one character that I think is kind of like a fan favorite.
Oh, yeah.
You know what I mean? Even when we were watching it as kids, I remember like we would always make jokes about him and we would say like who in our friend group is who.
Yeah.
You guys would call me Kid Flash a lot of the time.
You have red hair.
Yeah, that's my only qualification. As soon as you're ginger, you're Kid Flash.
Yep.
But Kid Flash in the show is like, he kind of plays the role of what Beast Boy would usually be.
Yes.
In the Teen Titans.
Yeah, he's that like jokester that you don't really take seriously and who like you love, but you also kind of like as the show goes on, you're like, there's got to be more to you.
Yeah.
And man, there is.
Yeah, because as he is first presented, he's kind of like, you know, cringy, like womanizer, like saying everyone like, oh, hey, babe, to Miss Martian.
Yeah, like a lot of his lines don't really age well. You're like, Wally, get the fuck away from me. You know?
Yeah, 100%.
But you know that he means well.
And there's like one episode in specific that I think is like one of our like favorite episodes in the whole series.
Cold-hearted.
Yeah, and it's kind of like the other team members appear in it, but it's clear that it's a focus on Wally throughout the whole episode.
It is, yeah. Wally's having the best day ever. It's his birthday, and he like school's canceled. He gets called to go on a mission with the team. It's the team's first ever mission fighting alongside the Justice League, so he's like ecstatic. And then Batman calls out everyone's roles, and then he's like, Robin, you're fighting with me. Superboy, you're with Superman. Miss Martian, blah, blah, blah. Kid Flash, you're not joining us. You have to like run this person's heart across the country to like deliver it to a hospital. And he's like, what the fuck?
Yeah.
Like, dude, I want to like fight with the Justice League. And Batman's like, oh, so like this is beneath you? And Kid Flash is like, no, I guess not. And it's kind of like,
And, yeah.
it teaches him a lesson.
Yeah, because of the context is that, you know, the heart is gonna save a little girl's life that desperately needs a heart transplant. And it's kind of like a good showcase in the show, like highlighting a lot of kids' like love of like superhero action.
Yes.
But that's not always what it means to be a hero, just beating up a bad guy. And like kind of like that theme of like all life is precious is really well communicated in the show, because Wally realizes like I don't have to be part of the action to be a hero to save the day. But yeah, Wally has this great arc of realizing that he can contribute to the team in his own way without being like a quote unquote like powerhouse like some of the others.
Yeah, and that it's not always about, you know, like being seen saving the day. It's just about saving the day.
Speaking of other characters, we also have Superboy. His character arc is kind of just realizing that he doesn't have to live up to like the mantle and be Superman.
It's
You know what I mean?
similar to Robin's arc.
Yeah, very much so. And a lot of the characters are like that, just realizing that they don't have to be like their mentors.
Yes.
But he's definitely a fun character, especially in the episodes where he realizes he's actually Lex Luthor's like genetic father clone type thing, you know what I mean?
Yeah, because he's Superman's clone, but like you find out later in the show that they needed to splice Superman's DNA with human DNA to kind of like suppress his powers and like his like savage mental state. And you're like, oh, who's the human DNA from? It's from Lex. And you're like, ew.
Yeah, they're both his daddy. Bro, it's so weird.
So gross, dude.
Does that mean Superman and Lex are parents?
Yeah, dude, does that mean Superman and Lex fucked?
Being half human, half Kryptonian, he has kind of reduced powers compared to Superman. Like, he mostly just has his super strength and durability.
Yes.
And there's great moments in the show where he's gifted these shields.
Yeah.
That are basically just like nicotine patches.
Yeah, Lex gives him these patches that unlock his full Kryptonian DNA, but also make him unhinged and like kind of drunk with power.
Yeah, a bit bloodthirsty.
Yes, exactly.
Yeah, and he would always use them to, you know, prove that he's as good, if not better, than Superman, you know what I mean? And the whole show, he's trying to get Superman's attention, but obviously Superman has a kind of quote-unquote, like, pseudo-new father to him.
Yeah.
Is, like, a bit freaked out, as I think he would be if you have a baby with your arch nemesis.
Absolutely, absolutely. Superman's a bit of a bitch in the show.
He is.
He's kind of like he's a rat father.
Honestly, of all the character depictions in the show, I think he's most unlike himself.
Yeah.
As he is in the comics.
I agree. Like when Batman's like this boy needs his father. He's like, I'm not his father. And I'm like, look at him.
Yeah, and Superman, like, is a character that extends a helping hand no matter who you are.
Yeah.
That, I will agree, Superman feels a bit off in the show.
He does. I mean, by the end of the show, he does, you know, warm up to Superboy. I think it is just like he has like new parent jitters, I guess. But like,
Yeah, and he extends, like, his hand to him in the, final episode, and
Yeah.
it's kind of implied that over the time jump between season 1 and season 2, which we will talk about, hopefully another episode, they do become closer, which is definitely a good thing.
agreed.
Moving on, we have Miss Martian, who is another character kind of like Aqualad, who I never really, like, thought about, but she's a great character in this show.
Well, for me, this was my first introduction to her character, like, at all. She's so great. She's such a, like, ray of light in the show whenever, like, other characters are, like, being downers. She's always trying to just, like, keep the family afloat and keep everyone, you know, like, happy with each other. And she has this really great arc. It's so simple, but she just learns to love herself for who she is.
Yeah, because at first, like, if you don't know anything about the Martians in the DC lore, they're shapeshifters.
Yeah.
And so even Martian Manhunter in his, like, green state, when he looks like, a little
A
bit...
superhero.
Yeah, like a superhero. That's not what he actually looks like. Martians themselves are kind of, I don't want to say grotesque, but
They're alien and, like, kind of freaky looking.
yeah.
And they put on the superhero looking kind of like just like green human form to appease humans. It's kind of whack.
Yeah, it is.
Kind of fucked up.
But it makes sense because, I think they even comment sometimes in the show, like, humans, it's true, we're like a fucked up species.
Yes.
We don't accept things that are different.
No.
Unfortunately, even within, like, just regular
Ourselves.
race. Yeah.
Yeah.
And her arc is basically coming to terms with the fact that doesn't matter as long as the people that love you don't care about that.
Exactly.
And by the end of the show, she's able to open herself up to the Titans and reveal her actual, true Martian form.
Agreed. And this is just like a little tidbit, I always loved, it's just a cool testament to Aqualad's character, where when she finally reveals her true white Martian form, all the human characters on the team are like, for a second, because she does, like, she admittedly looks kind of freaky, but the only one who doesn't gasp and, like, back away is Aqualad, because he's also not a human, and he's just, like, standing there with her. I always just love that.
It's such a great little detail. And again, that's where the show shines brightest, in these little character moments that maybe you wouldn't really catch. Next up, we have Artemis. Again, another character that I just don't think about when I think about DC. And I really like her arc because, you know, we're talking about all these characters kind of breaking away from their legacy role models, you know, like with Robin with Batman, Aqualad with Aquaman, etc., etc. And it's very interesting because all of their role models and father figures and mentors are all good guys, you know what I mean? But Artemis comes from a villainy background.
Yes, and she has such a huge chip on her shoulder, multiple chips on her shoulder, because one, like you said, it's revealed throughout her subplot in the show that her father is Sportsmaster, like a crazy recurring villain in the show. And she also has a huge chip on her shoulder because she joins the team as like the archer archetype after Red Arrow refuses to join the team. And Red Arrow is a good friend to all the other like team members, and they're like, what the fuck, dude? You're just like replacing our boy? And she's like, well, like your boy doesn't want to be on the team and I am, you know? So there's like, they kind of all have this animosity with her at the start.
Yeah, and it's great because tying into Roy / Red Arrow / Speedy's character, his arc is all about distancing himself away from the team and his mentor to forge his own legacy.
And become like Justice League worthy.
Exactly, and at the same time, he's convinced that there's a mole within the Titans.
Yeah.
And so, obviously, on paper, Artemis would be the prime suspect with her father, you know, and her criminal lineage. Yep. And also, there's different points in the show where Sportsmaster actually gets in contact with Artemis, and it's always like a very sussy thing, and you, even as the viewer, are questioning it. And he's absolutely convinced that she's the mole when...
So, are you ever joining the party? This biocircuitry is disturbingly sophisticated. I'll take that as a no.
Roy is revealed to be the mole after an entire season of flip-flopping between suspects, and like he's the main one who's like investigating and trying to find out the mole, and at the very end
it's revealed that he's the mole working for Vandal Savage and the Light, who are the big bads of the series.
Yeah, and it's like unbeknownst to him because it's revealed that he's a clone of the original Speedy who went missing years ago, and that like they, in his clone programming, they made him subconsciously work against the League and kind of help them set up their plan for global domination and to like take control of the Justice League, and he doesn't even know he's doing it.
Yes, because all throughout the series there is the Light and Vandal Savage who are pulling the strings in the background, and they keep one-upping the Justice League and the Titans.
Yeah, after every episode, like you think the heroes win, and then the scene cuts to the Light and they're like, actually, like the heroes just helped us get one step closer to our plan.
Exactly. And so with this introduction of the plotline with the mole and the team, you're constantly wondering who it is, and when it's revealed that he's the mole, it's a heartbreaking moment for him because he thinks he's a good guy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? He thinks that he's been helping out the team and helping out the Justice League and trying to prove himself and make his own legacy when it was already made for him by the Light.
And like in reality, he's the final piece in the puzzle for the villains to win.
And how do they win? By taking over the Watchtower
and mind controlling the entire Justice League, who in this show is not just like the original 7 Justice Leaguers. There's like 30 of them.
And they basically hack into the network and mind control everyone. And it's a great moment where it gives the opportunity for the heroes that we've been following within the Titans to go up against their mentors and prove that they can stand shoulder to shoulder with them.
Bro, people are gonna hate you calling them the Titans.
Okay, dude, guys, I'm just calling the Titans because it's easier to say than the Young Justice. Like, that sucks. I'm sorry. And I think, honestly, they would have been called the Teen Titans if it wasn't for like the other shows and Teen Titans Go and things like that. Again, setting up characters that I don't usually see too much of. Vandal Savage as the leader of the Light, this kind of conspiracy criminal organization that's the big bad throughout season 1.
This is the best version of Vandal Savage there's ever been.
He's so awesome.
Incredible. Such an intimidating, imposing villain.
Yeah, because we've covered Vandal Savage in previous videos, and what's so cool about him is that he's been around in one form or another for the last like millennia.
Yeah, for the last like 50,000 years.
Yeah,
he's like been alive.
He's been like all these major important figures of war and domination and kings and, you know, conquerors throughout all of society within the human landscape, and like seeing how all of that is cultivated to now taking over the Justice Justice League by the end of the series. It just paints him as such a menacing villain. I love it.
Yeah, and it works because, like, yeah, eventually they beat him, but he does, like, win. Like, he succeeds in his plan. He gets to the Watchtower and literally is, like, puppeteering the entire Justice League. And you're like,
It's
kudos.
over. Yeah.
I know, like, this guy won, like, respect.
You know, the show ends with, of course, the Titans freeing up the Justice League members from mind control, as you'd expect it would.
Yeah, and before they free them, there's a dope-ass fight where Robin and Superboy fight Batman and Superman.
So awesome.
Goes so fucking hard.
Yeah. And again, like, painting your own legacy, like I said before, it proves that they can go toe-to-toe with them and solve Justice League level threats, literally.
Literally.
Yeah.
They become, like, more effective than the League, you know? But I fuck with it.
Definitely, because they're the underdogs. You know, Vandal Savage, all these big bads throughout the series will always ridicule the team.
Yeah, and
being like,
ignore
oh,
them.
it's Batboy. What are you gonna do? Where's Batman? You know what I mean?
And that's what's their downfall in the end.
Such a great show. You know, season 1, like we said, it really has something special. If you guys haven't watched it, definitely go give it a watch. It's absolutely peak. It's peak DC content.
It is. It is peak DC.
It doesn't get much better than this.
It doesn't.
Unfortunately, in seasons 2 and 3, there are certain quality drops. They are still good.
I think season 2 is still really good, but in season 3 and 4, when they come back after getting canceled, the quality is just not what it used to be.
Yeah, but even in season 2, there are certain things that I have issues with, especially regarding time jumps.
Yes.
All of that, hopefully, we will get to cover in a season 2 retrospective. If you guys like this video, share with a friend.
Yes.
Comment down below.
Subscribe. Just leave a listing.
The 4 horsemen of YouTube supporting. But that's just our thoughts, guys. Let us know down below what you think.
Where does Young Justice rank among your favorite superhero cartoons?
Let us know down below. Guys, we love you dearly. Thank you for watching the video.
We love you. Peace.
Peace. Peace.